You haven't rubbed my feet, so get on with it. That's when the kind of the mental abuse started kicking in and the verbal abuse. And then
They promised to love each other until death do them part. But for some couples, that vow took on a chillingly literal meaning. Imagine trusting someone with your deepest secrets, your vulnerabilities, your entire life, only to discover that the person sleeping beside you is capable of unthinkable horror. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on relationships that the world saw as picture perfect, but behind closed doors, darkness was brewing. These are true stories of couples who didn't just fall out of love, they fell into murder. And the scariest part, most of their friends and family never saw it coming. When we think about dangerous criminals, we rarely picture them sharing a home, raising children together, or planning their futures side by side. But some of the most shocking crimes in history weren't committed by lone wolves. They were orchestrated by couples who found in each other not love and support, but a deadly partnership that would change lives forever. Let's start with one of the most infamous cases in recent American history, Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander. On the surface, their relationship seemed like a whirlwind romance that began in 2006. Travis was a successful motivational speaker and salesman living in Mesa, Arizona. Jodi was a photographer from California who seemed completely smitten with him. But what started as passion quickly spiraled into obsession. Friends noticed Jodi's increasingly erratic behavior. She would show up uninvited to Travis's house, hack into his social media accounts, and display intense jealousy whenever he spoke to other women. When Travis tried to end the relationship and move on, Jodi couldn't accept it. On June 4, 2008, she drove from California to Arizona and brutally murdered Travis in his own home. He was stabbed 27 times, his throat was slashed, and he was shot in the head. Jodi initially denied being there, then claimed intruders had killed him, and finally admitted to the killing but insisted it was self-defense. The jury didn't buy it. In 2013, she was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The case captivated the nation because it revealed how love can transform into lethal obsession when one person refuses to let go. But even more disturbing are cases where couples collaborate in their crimes, feeding off each other's darkness. Fred and Rose West are perhaps the most notorious example of this deadly dynamic. This British couple's crimes are so horrific that even decades later, they remain among the most shocking in criminal history. Between 1967 and 1987, Fred and Rose West sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered at least 12 young women and girls, including their own daughter. Their home at 25 Cromwell Street in Gloucester became known as the House of Horrors, after police discovered human remains buried in the basement, under the patio, and in the garden. What made this case particularly chilling was how the couple operated as a team. Rose would often lure victims to their home, where Fred would be waiting. They lived seemingly normal lives on the outside, raising children and interacting with neighbors, while conducting unspeakable acts behind their closed doors. Fred West took his own life in prison before trial in 1995, while Rose West was convicted of 10 murders and sentenced to life imprisonment. Psychiatrists who studied the case noted that Fred and Rose created a folie de deux, a shared psychosis where their individual darkness magnified when combined, making them far more dangerous together than they ever would have been apart. Then there's the case of Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka, dubbed the Ken and Barbie Killers by the Canadian press because of their wholesome, attractive appearance. In the early 1990s, this couple terrorized Ontario with a series of rapes and murders. Paul was a serial rapist who attacked at least 18 women before he met Karla. When they became a couple, Karla didn't try to stop him. Instead, she became his accomplice. In a twisted attempt to please Paul, Karla even drugged her own 15-year-old sister, Tammy, so Paul could sexually assault her. Tragically, Tammy died from the drugs. The couple then kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and murdered 2 teenage girls, Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French. They videotaped their crimes, evidence that would later be used in court. And she struck a controversial plea deal, receiving only 12 years in prison in exchange for testifying against Paul. However, when the videotapes were discovered, they revealed Karla as an active and willing participant. Paul Bernardo was convicted and designated a dangerous offender, meaning he will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. Carla was released in 2005 after serving her full sentence, a decision that sparked outrage across Canada and raised disturbing questions about justice and manipulation. What drives couples to commit such heinous acts together? Criminal psychologists have identified several factors. Sometimes, one partner is a dominant personality who manipulates and controls a more submissive partner, gradually drawing them into criminal behavior. In other cases, both individuals have antisocial tendencies that, when combined, create a dangerous amplification effect. There's also the phenomenon of moral disengagement, where couples create their own reality and justify their actions to each other, insulating themselves from societal norms and conscience. In many of these relationships, there's an element of codependency so extreme that one or both partners would rather participate in murder than risk losing the relationship. Another tragic example is the case of Stacey Castor, known as the Black Widow of Clay County. While not a traditional couple crime, Stacey's story reveals how someone can use intimate relationships as weapons. Between 2000 and 2007, Stacey poisoned 2 husbands with antifreeze. Her first husband, Michael Wallace, died in 2000 and his death was initially ruled natural. Her second husband, David Castor, died in 2005 under suspicious circumstances. When investigators began connecting the dots, they exhumed Michael's body and found lethal levels of ethylene glycol. Even more shocking, when suspicion fell on Stacey, she attempted to murder her own daughter and frame her for the deaths by forcing her to ingest a lethal cocktail of pills and vodka mixed with antifreeze, then staging a suicide scene complete with a forged confession note. Her daughter survived, and Stacey was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 51 years to life in prison. She died in prison in 2016. These cases teach us uncomfortable truths about human nature and relationships. They remind us that evil doesn't always announce itself with obvious red flags. Sometimes it wears a familiar face, shares your bed, and knows exactly how to make you trust it. The common thread in all these stories is isolation. As these relationships became more toxic and dangerous, the perpetrators isolated their victims from friends, family, and anyone who might intervene or notice the warning signs. Control, manipulation, what might have started as normal relationships into something monstrous. The stories we've explored today are disturbing reminders that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places, even in relationships that seem perfectly normal from the outside. But knowledge is power. By understanding these cases and recognizing warning signs like excessive control, isolation, and escalating abuse, we can better protect ourselves and our loved ones. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden dangers that can exist behind closed doors, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss our deep dives into true crime's most compelling cases. Hit that like button if you want us to continue bringing you well-researched, factual stories that matter. And drop a comment below telling us what case you'd like us to cover next. Remember, staying informed isn't just about satisfying curiosity. It's about staying safe in a world where things aren't always what they seem. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.